What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and today, guys, we're here for World's Biggest Collectors, episode 50. That is right, guys, episode 50. This is a milestone episode, and I am very proud to be joined by Bstarrcinema, who is on TikTok. He's on Instagram. He's on YouTube. He's got well over 500,000 followers on TikTok. This guy has blown up on that platform. He's a big time movie lover. He's a filmmaker. He is a collector of all things physical media and Disney movie pins as well. But we had a great conversation, a very interesting conversation. BStarr's actually in the process of upgrading all of his DVDs. He's been a big collector for a long time, but he kind of just nestled into this comfort zone with DVDs. So we got into a conversation about him upgrading all of his DVDs to Blu-rays and just how that process has been going, his quest to upgrade his collection to Blu-ray and 4K. So we get into some interesting stuff because, as you all know, we've all been through it. That's a very long and tedious process. So we get into the nitty-gritty of that. Just a great time with BStarr, Brian over at Bstarrcinema. I have all of his links down below in the description, his TikTok, his Instagram, his YouTube. I definitely recommend that you go follow and go subscribe to his channel. So I hope you enjoy the conversation that we had for World's Biggest Collectors, episode 50. Let's go. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to World's Biggest Collectors, episode 50. This is a milestone episode for World's Biggest Collectors, and I am joined by Brian over at Bstarrcinema. How you doing, man?
Doing good. The big 50.
That's big special. 50. I realized that as I was saying, I was like, this is episode 50. So
yeah, that's cool.
Awesome to have you here, man. I know I just started following you on TikTok. I would say maybe 6 months ago or so, but
cool.
You put out some great stuff over there, some great movie related content. You're also on Instagram, and I believe you have a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I was more consistent with it, and I want to be. I really do want to be.
Yeah.
I joined YouTube in 2006, so
oh my goodness, you were way back in the day with the cool duders and the wet movies.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, not so much like doing movie content though, and now that the world of movie content has kind of collapsed into my space. It's something that I'm definitely thinking about starting to be more consistent in.
Absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate you being here, and I will have all your links down below for everybody to follow you and subscribe and all that good stuff. But do you want to tell people for a second just what you're all about over there, Bstarrcinema? Just let them know what you do over there just on a regular basis.
Yeah, I love movies, and that's why we're here, right? And
I can tell by all that stuff in the background.
Yeah, right. It's a lot of Batman, and then of course you got Willow right here. My daughter's name is Willow.
Oh yeah.
And so I gotta respect the movie. But I love movies. I love pop culture. I got some Funko Pops as well. But basically I just kind of like to do what I like to do, and hopefully people like to come along. I say unfortunately because it doesn't help me out, but unfortunately I don't like to stick to just one thing, and that's what I do. I just like, if I'm interested, like I'm going to a Comic-Con in about 2 weeks. That's what my content is going to be. And so basically it's pop culture with a focus on movies. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Whatever I'm interested in, I want to see who else might be interested in it as well. And, have those conversations and show off the things that I like to find. And yeah, it's pretty much it. Is just, yeah. I love movies. That's
you have a killer account, man. You do all kinds of great content for sure. And I was browsing through it a little bit more before we started doing the recording tonight. And yeah, just a lot of pop culture stuff, definitely leaning towards movies, but you do a lot of interesting, just regular thrifting hauls and toy hauls and things of that sort. So I definitely recommend everybody go over and follow Brian over at Bstarrcinema for sure. But look, before we get into, talking about you as a collector and your history with collecting, I want to get into this. What are some of the recent like movies and Blu-rays you've been buying? Like what what have you been doing lately as far as your movie watching? How's it been going? Been watching some
Yeah,
good
so
stuff.
this year I have put a focus on watching more movies than ever. Ever since my daughter was born, my movie watching has just tanked,
It plummets,
and
doesn't it?
yeah, yeah, and that's fine. But this year I want it to pick back up again. So I'm just focusing on watching anything and everything. I've been doing a lot of rewatches. So I watched 38 movies in February. Only 5 were new, brand new watches. So everything else is rewatches, but I'm loving it so much. Some of these movies I haven't seen, like Shutter Island, I haven't seen since it came out in 2010.
Yeah.
And so it's just been a blast kind of getting those rewatches in with a few new ones here and there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I saw your I think your top 5 ranking for February. You enjoyed the Knock at the Cabin, right?
So I am unashamedly a massive M. Night Shyamalan fan.
I am too. I am
I will
too.
be annoying about it, and anytime a movie of his comes around,
Glass was great, wasn't it?
you can expect. Oh, I loved Glass.
I loved it.
Unbreakable is the reason why I got into filmmaking. By the way, when I was 12 years old, so I owe my career to Shyamalan. So I'm
Now,
a
is that what you
big
do
fan.
beyond TikTok, and you're a filmmaker?
Yeah, I have my own filmmaking business, and I focus on kind of small business filmmaking for social media. So any type of business that needs something filmed and it needs to go on social media, or even like their website, like an evergreen video. You go to the website and there's a video that's playing. That's kind
Nice.
of what I focus on. And Yeah, it helps pay the bills while I can also then pursue, an interest in content creation as
Yeah, the more
well.
creative
But
side of it. But yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I always what's your favorite Shyamalan movie?
Yeah, it's got to be
Is it
Unbreakable, and
Unbreakable?
it's personally, it's
Yeah.
because of that influencing me. But I got to say, Signs is right
Yeah,
up
I was
there
gonna
as
say
well.
Signs. Signs is Signs
Yeah,
is one of maybe my top 15 movies of all time. I remember,
nice. Yeah,
I actually remember seeing that. Well, I guess haven't even talked about this yet, but we live like very close together in the same state,
same
which we
state.
just found out, which is
Yeah,
pretty
I
cool.
love that.
But that theater that you showed me that you go to as well, that I do. I saw Signs in that theater maybe 5 times because I used to work
Oh
at that
my gosh.
Myers that's right
Okay,
next
yeah,
door to it when I was 16.
yeah.
So before work, like every day for that summer when it came out, I would go see Signs before I went to work, and I just saw it like every day for a week. I love that
That's
movie.
great.
One of my
Yeah.
favorites.
That was 2002, I think.
Yeah,
Maybe
it was
2002.
2002. Yeah, yeah. I remember
Yeah.
seeing The Ring there and um, Halloween H2O. Not Halloween H2O.
Oh,
Halloween
wow.
Resurrection.
Wow.
Resurrection was the one that came out in
Yeah,
2002. And people
that's
always give
great.
me crap over that one. I still have fond memories over that movie, even though it's easily what most
Sure.
people would say is the worst Halloween film.
Sure,
Um,
yeah.
But no, man, that's really cool. That is cool for sure. So, you're watching a lot of movies. You're up to like 80 movies this year so far. You've
Well,
watched.
let me see. I have I don't have a letterboxed, which will kind of surprise people, but I have my notes app.
Yeah.
I'm up to 87. I haven't made that public in because I
Woo!
post to my stories. I
Nice.
take a picture of the movie that I'm watching and kind of write a little bit about it, and I'm ahead of what I'm posting just in case I miss a day or something. But yeah, 87 so far.
Nice. Now, are most of these movies that you have in your physical media collection,
I'd say it's
or are a mix between that and streaming as well?
Yeah, I'd say it's a healthy mix. If you pay attention to those pictures that I'm posting, you'll see kind of 3 different areas where I'm watching them. And if it's a computer, then obviously it's probably streaming. And then if it's my TV, it's a mixture of both. If
Yeah.
I just started doing this where if it's a physical copy, I'll kind of put it in the photo, just to kind of like, make sure people realize, physical copy forever, right?
Yeah.
But even the movies that I might watch here on my computer will probably a movie that I also own on physical media as well. But it's just whatever. And it really is. It's just whatever I'm feeling in that moment, and I
Now, is
just
there
happen to
ever a
be
time that you want to watch something and you know you have it back there in your collection, but you're like, it's right here on streaming. Let me just push this button and watch it on streaming. Because I think
yeah,
people would be lying if they said it doesn't occur every now and then. Because
for
I'll be sitting
sure.
on my couch out there and I'll be like, I know I have this
Yeah,
back there, but I'm just gonna press this button and watch it on streaming
for
instead.
sure. Yeah, no, I think like what goes on through my head when that happens is when I see it on the streaming platform, I just yeah, it's absolutely just yeah, I'm just gonna start watching that right now
Yeah,
versus, trying to find it. I just moved in my collection, which used to be on a wall, just like one big giant wall, kind of like what you have behind you. It was way easier to find everything, and unfortunately now I'm kind of double stacked with my shelves a little bit. So there are definitely certain movies that I know are behind and maybe lower to where I have to move a lot to get to it, that
yeah,
I will by all means, uh, yeah, probably just press a button and start
yeah.
watching for
My
sure.
wife and I were sitting out on the couch the other night. We were scrolling through HBO Max, and I don't know if you've seen the movie Some Kind of Wonderful. It's from the '80s.
Mhm.
But we were gonna watch that, and she's like, "Don't you have a Steelbook of that back there? Don't you want to go get the disc?" She was like pressuring me to go get my disc, and I said, "I don't feel like getting up. Just press the button." And it's it's literally like
Yeah,
15 feet away to my
yeah,
collection. So, but sometimes owning physical media is more than just watching it all the time. It's having that assurance and that backup in case
mhm.
it's not on HBO Max tomorrow because they've been pulling stuff off their streaming service left and right. So
Yeah,
it's more
it
about that
happened to me
assurance.
it happened to me recently. I was watching, Sleepy Hollow, and I watched half of it one day, and no joke, the next day it was off the platform. I
Yeah,
could not find it,
it's
and
crazy.
thankfully I have it, so I was able to finish it, but I was like, "Oh my gosh, this actually happens," like this
Oh yeah.
I'm witnessing a movie being, removed. So, yeah,
And if it's something I don't, I mean, streaming quality is pretty good, but if it's something I really care about watching in the highest possible quality,
sure.
I'll definitely go grab the disc. But if it's
Yeah.
something like an '80s comedy or something, I'm not gonna be
There
too
are
concerned about that.
there are a lot of movies that do not need the upgrade. No, let's be honest.
There are. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it, but there are some movies that definitely don't need it, for
Yeah.
sure. What's I always like to ask my guests this, but what's the state of your physical media collection right now? Are you stuff all over the floor? Is everything well organized?
Yeah.
I know tons of collectors in this community that some of them have pristine collections that everything's on the shelf. It's in nice order. They have a
Yeah.
system. And then I
Yeah.
know other people kind of like myself that's just stuff all over
Mhm.
the floor everywhere.
Yeah.
What is the state? Are you happy with your state physical media collecting right now?
I am. So I'm always alphabetical order by genre. I have to be. Recently, I've been picking up more Steelbooks, and so that's throwing off some things because, like I said, I just moved and I haven't updated my list, which is on my computer. My kind of here's what I have list. And so I think even just today, I was reorganizing my thriller section and came across seven. And I
Yeah.
was like, don't I have this on Steelbook? And I look up, there it is. I was like, okay, I can get rid of this one, which was on DVD. So,
Now hold on.
um,
You said alphabetical, then you said thriller section. So you do alphabetical within genre?
yeah, alphabetical
Is that
by
how you do it?
genre. Yep.
Oh, okay, that's
The
interesting.
best that I can. They're and that's what I was struggling with today is there's a lot of thrillers that I think probably are horror,
That's the
and it's
problem I
just
ran
it's
into when I was doing
killing
because
me.
I was hardcore genre. I was like, I want to
Yeah,
do genre instead of alphabetical just because I feel like I don't know, it feels weird. Alphabetical is pretty cut and dry. A movie starts with A, it's in the A's. But it felt like
yeah,
I could find movies better that way, or it just made more
yeah,
sense to me to do it that way. But then you
yeah.
run into those situations where it's like, well, it's kind of horror, but it's also a little comedic as
Yeah,
well.
it's
Like
tough.
Shaun of the Dead. Like, where do you put a movie like that? Do you put it in horror? Do you put it in comedy? So I
Yeah,
always struggle with that. But
yeah,
you do both, so
off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of where I placed it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I've been doing it since day one. Since day one of collecting, it's been alphabetical order by genre, and that's mostly because my family did it. My family
Yeah.
were movie collectors as well, and so it's just been ingrained in me. And even at a collection of my size, I still like to do it. And it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's just a little bit easier, because for the most part, I know where everything is.
Yeah.
Unless you bring up Shaun of the Dead, then I'm screwed. But
Absolutely. So are you pretty good about putting everything up like as you get it? It's like as you're bringing in the new haul of movies, by week or by month, or are you pretty good at slotting it? Because I get so stressed out
Mhm.
about that. It's like I got to move everything to fit this here
Correct.
and
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah, I would say right now I'm not, and that's just mainly because I am constricted on space. I will say that at the beginning of this year, because of that happening, I've decided to scale down my collection even more than when I moved.
yeah,
And that's mainly just so that, yeah, I don't have just kind of stacks of movies kind of placed into those areas between the shelf and the movie. And it's in the right genre area, but it's definitely not placed where it needs to be. So
yeah.
yeah, currently I'm having space issues, and I want it to be clean. And yeah, so I think I'm going to start getting rid of some to make that happen.
Yeah, there's definitely kind of a curation movement I feel like going on in the physical media collecting,
Yeah.
community as we get into all these, different formats, and you got DVD and
Hmm.
you got Blu-ray and 4K. You have to start deciding, all right, I got the 4K. Do I really still need the Blu-ray? It's got
Correct.
different artwork on it, so it's kind of like in your head you want to keep it.
Yep.
But yeah, I've been struggling with that. I removed like 60 Blu-rays out of my collection a couple of weeks ago. I'm looking to get rid of, so I'm
Yeah.
trying to do it. Trying to do that thing.
I
But
can
good
probably help you
stuff.
get rid of those. Most of my collection is DVD, and I've been slowly upgrading to Blu-ray for as cheap as possible. It's actually like a thing that I do on TikTok. Is I'm trying to replace all of my movies with Blu-ray
Oh
or
yeah, well if
higher.
they I'll check with it. I'll send you a picture of my titles or
Heck yeah,
whatever after this, and we'll see if there's any that you need. A lot of
yeah,
them's pretty
absolutely,
mainstream, but there's definitely
yeah,
some obscure ones in there as well that you might not have.
nice, yeah, absolutely.
Um so people are going to kill me because I've already gone 15 minutes and I haven't even asked you how many movies do you have in your collection? The last
Yeah,
episode I put up, everybody in the comment section was like, "Hey, why don't you ask the person how many movies they got in their collection?" It's like that's all
yeah,
they cared about. So how
yeah,
many movies
sure,
do you have in your collection? Let's get that out of the way. So let's make the
yeah.
people happy.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. So I thankfully I have, somewhat of an answer. And I just moved 8 months ago, and I made a YouTube video where I counted my collection after like 2 years. I hadn't counted that entire time. And not only was I scaling down a little bit, but then I, kind of made another video where I just counted everything. And before I scaled down, it was over 3,000, and then I scaled down, and it was, I think, like 2,800. But I guarantee I'm back at 3,000 again, just because you know
Yeah.
I've been buying movies. um,
What's it like to move a collection like that?
it's the
Not fun,
worst.
I imagine.
I have moved a DVD collection, I think, 10 or 11 times. I have
Yeah.
an early TikTok video whenever things started blowing up for me on TikTok. I have an early video, and I counted like how many times did I have to move a movie collection from college to, my first apartment, to the next apartment, to the next, to the house, to the, and every time it's the worst. And this last move was absolutely the worst, because that's, it has grown as, that's the biggest it's ever been. And so, yeah,
Anything
multiple.
damaged in the process?
No, no, no,
Any
no, no,
casualties?
no.
Always good.
Again, most of my stuff is DVD.
Yeah.
And DVDs are, um, I mean, you got to step on those things to break some of them, to
You
be
do.
honest.
Yeah, they're definitely not
So,
as yeah, every time you drop a Blu-ray case, it breaks. It doesn't matter. That the
yeah.
corner of it will chip off every
Oh
single
yeah,
time.
sure. Yeah,
Every
those things
time.
are cheap. They're
4Ks
super
are
cheap.
a little bit more durable,
Yeah,
but I feel like they're kind of along the same lines. But all right, man,
yeah.
let's take things back to
Mhm.
Little Bstarr Cinema. and find out what it's how did all this collecting start? Like where did you when did you start? Was it have you been collecting since you were a little kid? Is something that
Yeah.
kind of evolved over time through your family, and then you really started getting into it as a teenager? How did it all start for you?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said earlier, my family collected movies. We had a closet that was basically a VHS closet, and that
Mm,
was its thing. And it was in the hallway, and it was nothing but VHS and a lot of ripped from the VCR VHS as well. So my dad's kind of handwriting in the little white strip of the VHS of all the we didn't have the Disney Channel, so he would go somewhere and be able to kind of rip some of those Disney movies onto a VHS. And
Did you have a
um
lot of recorded VHSs, like the
yeah,
6 hour, 8 hour tapes with
yeah,
3 or 4 movies on them?
tons,
Yeah,
tons of them, tons, so
yeah,
so many of them. Brink, for instance, the Disney Channel original movie Brink about skating.
yeah.
um
I think I remember that one.
it's incredible, and it doesn't have a physical media release, and it's now on Disney Plus. But before Disney Plus came out, which is a very recent, I had it on VHS, and it was ripped
Yeah,
straight from the TV.
yeah.
um but
Those
yeah,
were the
no, my
days.
oh yeah, it was great.
I'm pretty sure
And
my grandmother's entire VHS collection was ripped movies. They would go to Blockbuster every single Tuesday, and they
yeah.
would do the whole 2 VCR recording thing of
Oh
all the new
yeah. Oh,
releases.
that's so funny.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Yeah, but no, my dad had a list and everything, and he would update it every time we got a new movie. And I'm from a very, very tiny town, and when DVD came out, they were insanely expensive. The DVD players were insanely expensive, and we just so happened to be gifted a DVD player. And we were like one of the first ones in our town to have it, and we knew that because we would go to our rental store, which was not a Blockbuster. It was a trailer, an actual trailer hollowed out,
Oh, nice.
and inside it was a movie store. So like, the horror section was in the bedroom, and the kids section was in another bedroom, um and they had a very tiny DVD section to rent, and we never had the issue of someone renting the movie that we wanted to watch,
So
because
you all
we
walked in
were
there and you said, "Do you all have any DVDs?" And everybody was just kind of stood up and looked at you.
yeah,
Was it that kind of
exactly, yeah.
situation?
Oh yeah, for sure.
DVD.
But then, slowly they started to grow, and I remember going to Kmart to buy our first DVDs as a family, which was Muppets from Space and The Mummy,
Nice.
Brendan Fraser's Mummy.
Oh, I love that movie.
Um, oh, it's fantastic. And yeah, I mean, just blew us away. Being able to turn off. I, I forget exactly like what the experience was, but it was Muppets from Space, and I think we ejected it, and then put the disc back in or something, and it immediately started playing from where we left off, and we were just like,
Oh, they were that
you know,
advanced back then, huh? I don't remember
kind of,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
I guess
yeah.
so.
There was something special. There was
I
something
remember being
special
able
that
the whole
happened.
chapter thing used to blow my mind when we first
Yeah,
got it, and how they would.
yeah.
I think on some of them, I don't know, they don't do this anymore, but they would. Didn't they name the chapters back in the day? Like
Oh
you
yes.
would see them all on the back of the case. Like it would have all the chapters on the back. Did they do that,
Yeah.
or am I making that up in my head?
No, I
Because
think
I
that's
feel like that
very
was a
true.
thing.
And there were always like a descriptor of some kind,
Yeah.
an ominous line or something like that.
When did you all
But
get the DVD player? You said you got it when it first came out. Was that 97, 98? That's somewhere around there? Because I think I
well,
don't think we got ours until 2000. I think it was like the year 2000, maybe.
I'm thinking 99 only because of the Mummy.
Yeah.
That's the only
Oh,
thing that
yeah,
I
yeah.
can think of.
Yeah.
So I don't know that exact time, but
I
that's
remember I
what I'm
think
thinking.
our first two movies were two mission movies. It was Mission Impossible 2
Nice.
and Mission to Mars. Were the first two movies that we had, which I watched those movies so much because they were like our only two DVDs. So I have
Right.
like deep nostalgia for both Mission Impossible, which
Absolutely.
everybody says the second Mission Impossible is the worst. Again, I have a lot of nostalgia for that movie, and I love Mission to Mars too.
It's super stylized because is that John Woo,
That's
right?
John Woo's. Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah, I mean,
pigeons
you
and
got to appreciate that. Yeah.
God, I love John Wood. I love Broken
Yeah.
Arrow. That's like one of my favorite
Oh
action
yeah,
movies
sure.
of the
Yeah,
entire 90s. So,
it's great.
um, okay. So, DVD collecting, I guess, was big. And I talked about this with a guest that I had on here like a week or so ago. I feel like I was collecting VHSs and
Mhm,
DVDs like almost simultaneously because obviously
mhm.
not everything had a DVD when it first came out, so you were still buying for VHSs. Do you remember, collecting VHSs simultaneously with DVDs, or when you were
I
DVD,
don't
it was just straight DVD?
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was once DVD came in that my family started doing straight DVD, and then it was 2002 or 3, and I realized I'm going to college soon. I graduated in '06. Yeah, high school in '06. I'm going to college soon. I can't bring this collection with me. These are my parents' movies, and so
Yeah.
that's when I started my own collection. And I believe it was my aunt gave me an Amazon gift card and 2003, 2004. And this in Amazon, this is early Amazon. And
Yeah.
I got a $25 gift card from Amazon. I went to the used section for movies and I bought as many DVDs as I could. The first one being my favorite comedy of all time, Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that's how it started. And I think it was all comedies. Like I think one of them was Blue Streak with Martin Lawrence as well. And because I loved
That's a great
comedy
one.
as a kid. So that's how it started, and it just kept growing and growing.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you were collecting DVD up until pretty recently, you're saying? You're
Very
just now
recently,
getting into
yeah,
Blu-ray
yeah.
and 4K.
I
Was there a
fully
reluctance there? Because I mean, Blu-ray's been around since
It's been a
2008, and
while.
you just like, I'm not doing it. I've collected all these DVDs. I'm done. Was it that kind of thing, or
No, it was strictly I'm a cheapskate.
yeah?
Uh, Now, of course, Blu-rays,
I get it. Yeah,
yeah, Blu-rays, of course, are cheap now. But I refused, even like doing Criterion when I would do a Criterion 50% off at Barnes and Noble years ago. Um, for the same amount of money for 2 Blu-rays, I could get 3 DVDs.
yeah.
And so, of course, that's what I'd rather do. And
So the quality
yeah,
aspect of it didn't mean as much to you back then. I guess you were
no,
just,
no,
it's a
and it's
movie.
mainly
I'll
just
watch it.
because, like, I don't have, like, a home theater, right? So,
Yeah,
I could care less, and to
absolutely.
me, it's the movie. If it's on VHS, it's still gonna be the same movie. It just might look better and
Yeah,
sound nicer, but it's, to me, the art. And of course, there's art in quality and sound. But
yeah,
yeah, no, it didn't bother me, and only and then it got to the point where if I felt it deserved to be on Blu-ray, I would buy it, but that was still very slim. But the best example I can think of is Mad Max Fury Road. So by all
oh yeah,
means, when that
absolutely.
movie came out, I was like, that needs to be the highest quality I can get for sure. That makes sense to me. What I don't need to be doing is buying, the latest comedy to get its highest quality. I just don't believe in that. And so not, and I'm pretty sure it's because of TikTok and kind of being my eyes being opened to different boutique labels that I had never heard of and different versions. And I knew of Steelbook because I bought the Interstellar Steelbook when Interstellar came out, because that was another movie that I was like,
Yeah,
that needs to be in its highest quality. But yeah, not until very recently have I really started kind of doing a bigger push of, I'd rather the high, kind of the higher quality. I don't care if it's 4K or Blu-ray. It's more for me. It's more, I want the coolest edition I can find, because, like we kind of said earlier, the movie collection is it's kind of an art form in and of itself, and kind of getting like the most beautiful looking piece is important to me now. So
yeah.
yeah, and so now I have no regrets that most of my collection is DVD, but if I can replace the DVDs with Blu-rays and it's cheap, yeah, by all means, I'll go for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I am 100% with you. I was a very late adopter to
Mm,
Blu-ray as well. I didn't really get into collecting Blu-rays until around 2016, 2017. And it was more so like I was a huge gamer like back
nice.
in the mid 2000s to mid 2010s. It wasn't until my kids were born, my first
Mhm.
son was born in 2010. I didn't have as much time to devote to like a 70-hour game, but I can watch a 2-hour
Sure.
movie. So I just kind of
Yeah.
shifted that over to movie watching, that game watching over or game playing over to movie watching. So I'd say around 2016, 2017 is when, and I was just reluctant. I was like, I'm still going to buy DVDs. I had like a 600 DVD collection, and I'll buy Blu-rays of like Marvel movies or whatever I think, needs
Yeah.
to be seen on HD, but
Yeah.
I don't really care to get the highest quality of everything. So yeah, and then I started my page on Instagram, which wasn't intended to be a movie collecting page. I just did
Yeah.
movie reviews and stuff on there. Then I kind of started to see other people show off all these cool editions, and I just went down
Yeah.
that rabbit hole. And once you're trapped in it, it's hard to get out. So definitely just snowballed from there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's so funny. I've been on Instagram, I think like a lot of us probably since 2010, 2011, and not until I would say within the past year, year and a half have I entered like movie Instagram.
Yeah,
Because all before that it was my business that I was just trying to push, so that I could work and make a living, and um being absolutely miserable doing that. And it's not because it's now because of TikTok that um I switched my Instagram over to that sort of content, movie content, and it's because of that that I then see all of these people who I have never heard of,
yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
and trends that I've never heard of. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a whole brand new world that has been here the whole time but has never come across my page because it was all my business stuff. And man, I'm having fun. I'm having fun meeting new people like yourself, and seeing all of this stuff that like I love doing but I never did in social media. And so
Yeah.
like I'm doing old trends, and things like that, and it's great. I'm enjoying the heck out of it.
Yeah, there's times where I'll feel like, such a poser in the community because again, I didn't get into this stuff until like 2017, and I'll be talking about Scream Factory and Criterion and Arrow
Sure.
Video and be like, "We've been collecting this stuff since 2008."
Yeah.
Well, I'm just getting into it now, so what do you guys
Yeah,
want me
yeah,
to
no,
do?
exactly. And that's the thing is like there's so many other people who are also new to it. And
Yeah.
so your content isn't for those people who have been at it
Yeah.
forever. And I'm sure they can probably find an appreciation in it. But yeah, by all means, I love seeing the comments of, you're the reason why I started collecting.
Oh
And
yeah.
and it's like that's incredible. Like more people are doing it because of the stuff that we're making.
Creating new
And
collectors every day, and that's,
exactly.
what
Yeah.
we need nowadays for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
let's get into, a little bit more of the content creation side of things. You said that you had a YouTube channel in 2006. Now, was this movie focused or was this something else completely? What did you start
This
doing on
was
YouTube back in the day?
this was short film focused. This was all the dumb videos I made as a kid. Like I said, I started filmmaking when I was 12. I made my first
Yeah.
short film with my friends. It was a superhero movie called Super Dummies, and it was
Nice.
the worst. And but I loved it, and so I would make these kind of narrative short films. And I one year, I in 2006, I did a parody of Brokeback Mountain called Big Mac Mountain, and I basically did a shot for shot remake of the trailer, but with a guy who has like a love affair with a Big Mac. And
Now, is
I
this
was
still
doing
up? Is this
it
channel
is
still
still
up?
up. Yes,
Okay.
you can.
All
It's
right.
it's my account still, and you have to do some scrolling, but you can find the old bad videos of
Okay.
my work,
Now, was
my
it
college work,
BStarr
high school
Cinema
work.
from the beginning, or was it something else?
No, my I forget what it was from the beginning. Because when you had a YouTube channel, it wasn't really like I mean, it was because like Smosh, what had their. For me, I don't know. I think it was just Brian Starr. But
Yeah,
my movie production company was Goober Boy Films, and so you'll probably see that on some of those old projects. No,
nice.
BStarr Cinema didn't happen until things started blowing up on TikTok. Is kind of when BStarr
Okay.
is my nickname throughout college, and so
Yeah.
BStarr was taken, and so I just kind of threw cinema
I
on the
always
end.
always wish that whenever I hear people's stories of being on YouTube and stuff, because I didn't really even start watching stuff. I didn't know people were talking about movies on YouTube until probably like 2015, 2016,
Yeah.
and I didn't start my own channel until about 2019, going into 2020. So it's like I wish I would have got in on that like way back in the day
Oh
and
yeah.
then started doing something with it because
Yeah.
I knew it was there, but I thought it was all just
Yeah.
like, stupid videos and how-to videos. I didn't know there was
Yeah.
actual like film discussion and discourse and people talking
Sure.
about
Yeah.
Blu-rays and DVDs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I wish I
Yeah.
was there from the beginning. But
Absolutely. I totally get that.
so you had that YouTube channel for a while. Did you ever when did it transition into social media like Instagram and TikTok? When did that occur?
Yeah.
Is this something
Yeah.
that you were steadily doing through the 2010s, or is this something that just happened within the past couple of years, you would say?
It definitely happened within the past couple of years. Like I said, I started my business in 2015. I was a teacher before that. And yeah, it's weird. Like I just didn't know that there was a world where I could exist in the kind of influencer market of
Yeah.
talking about movies and movie collecting. And so, yeah, my social media was strictly for my business, and so that I could work. And then, I was able to quit teaching and go full time. And even then, I would still do my business stuff. I would, now that it's March, it reminds me, I would do a movie March, but I'm pretty sure I would only post in the stories. I would never really like make posts. But yeah, I would hold up a movie in front of my collection and kind of talk about it for a little bit. But no, I joined TikTok in 2019. I peeked my head in. I was like, nah, this isn't for me. And I, backed out. But then I rejoined in
It's hard for me to
2020.
remember when TikTok
Yeah.
started. What was it like in 2019 on TikTok? When
It
did
was
TikTok start?
Musically.
Was that 2018,
Do you
2019?
remember do you remember Musically? It was just a bunch of
No, I
kids
do
kind
not.
of
I remember
lip
when
syncing.
Snapchat was a big thing, and I didn't even get into that at all.
Yeah. So you kind of have Vine, you got Snapchat, and then you have Musically, and Musically was just like a bunch of kids lip syncing to music, hence the name. And Musically kind of turned into TikTok, or TikTok bought it, or something like that. And it's still, in that day, it was very much dancing to music, maybe old Vine videos, or people trying to kind of like make it Vine, with sketches, short sketches. And yeah, a lot of lip syncing, a lot of like Rick and Morty lip syncing, like scenes from Rick and Morty is what I remember.
So
um,
you poked your head into TikTok and you said, "This is madness. I'm out of here."
yeah,
And
I
then you
don't
came
get
back,
it.
I
I
imagine,
came
during the
back in
pandemic?
2020 because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was doing a weekly cooking show on Instagram in the stories only. So
Okay.
the existence of this cooking show does not exist.
Now,
It does.
did you create an Instagram page for cooking? Was that a
No, but I
thing? Or
created I
just
created a Patreon,
okay.
because people were loving it, but people weren't supporting it. It was
Yeah.
very frustrating. It was frustrating for me to put out this content that was like, I was doing really fun creative stuff weekly. I was people's entertainment during the pandemic, basically.
Now, are you still doing the cooking stuff?
No, because
Okay.
whoops, because TikTok. TikTok came around. And so I rejoined TikTok. I started posting just random videos about what I was kind of like doing at that time. And then it blew up, but not because of movies. So a lot of people don't know this, but if you scroll, and it's going to take you forever to scroll,
Yeah.
but if you scroll, you will see my first content. And my first 250,000 followers came because I was given a massive Disney pin collection to help sell during the pandemic. And I started,
Is this
and when
somebody
I
that you
say
knew that gave it to you?
it's like a family member of a family member of a
Yeah.
family member, not even really that connected, but connected enough to where my name was kind of thrown in to help. And so when I say massive movie collection, I'm talking 30 plus bags, pin bags that are like this
Yeah, I
big.
just saw one of your posts talking about the Disney pens. I just went to Disney World for probably the first time in 20
Nice.
years last
Yeah.
December. I didn't
Nice.
know about this whole pen obsession until I
Oof.
saw
It's
your post. There was a big purse
nuts.
obsession there. I did see that. Everybody wearing
The
different
price
purses
of
and
that.
collecting the purses.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's nuts, and I know firsthand. And so literally, the way because 75-80% of my work was canceled basically because of the pandemic, and so I literally made a living off of selling Disney pins. And the first video when I mentioned that I even had these pins did over 1 million. And this is over 1 million, in 2020 TikTok terms. Today,
Yeah.
it's silly to say, but it's kind of easy to do 1 million. Silly to say, like
Yeah.
it's not that easy, but the numbers have shifted, and the numbers and their meaning have shifted, especially with TikTok. So when that happened, I knew right then and there what to do, and I created a Shopify within 48 hours and created a store to sell these Disney pins. And so what I would do is I would create daily content about what pins I was about to sell, and the floodgates came. I did actually start a Instagram for just that, and that grew to like 3 to 4K followers like within weeks. It was
Nice.
crazy, but
Nice.
that's how TikTok started for me. um but it's funny, I had this movie collection this entire time, but I never mentioned it, never talked about it, never showed it. But when I did start showing it, everything blew up, and it went crazy from there. And I think it was like February 2021 is when things like really started picking up.
Yeah. So you got your first, few 100,000 with the pens, and then you started transitioning into movies, and then it just kept snowballing from there. TikTok I
Exactly.
found to be extremely fascinating. It's still not something I'm able to crack.
Yeah.
I'm definitely probably not consistent enough, but I try to figure out. Like I had one post the other day get like 60,000
Yeah.
views or something. I'm like, that's definitely the most I've ever gotten on here
Yeah.
before, and
No,
it
it's
always just
awesome.
feels so random, and it always feels like
It
the
is.
stuff that you put the least amount of work into as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Which can also work out the same way on YouTube as well. It
Sure.
seems like people do like the simpler stuff, but I do
Mhm.
respect a lot of the content I do see on TikTok because there's a lot of really good stuff. That your stuff also in
Absolutely.
particular that's just looks really clean and really well edited.
Thank
Um,
you.
so I do
I appreciate that.
definitely see the work that goes into it. I don't think people appreciate the TikTok creators enough because I'll
Yeah.
try to make a TikTok and really edit it. Sometimes it'll take
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
longer than a YouTube video will, just with everything I have to do and have to try to
It's
pare it down to the
yeah.
proper time length and everything.
It's a lot, and it's frustrating when it doesn't succeed. You work hard on something, and then it just kind of sits there and does nothing, and it's like, well, time to do another one the next day, or two or
You got
three,
to do
or
that sometimes. I mean,
yeah.
it does suck,
Yeah.
and it definitely hits you hard when something doesn't perform like you think it should, and you feel like you put a lot of work into it. But you just got to say, "Oh, that was one video or TikTok or whatever," and I got to move on to the next one the next day. It
That's
is what
it.
it is.
Yeah.
Um, but all right, now you're up to almost 700,000 followers on TikTok. That's crazy, man. That's like TikTok model status. You
Yeah.
got like more than the models on there, man. That's crazy.
Sure. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
BStarr Cinema.
It's nice to see that, for sure. It's frustrating when I don't have that many people getting the chance to see my content. Um,
I've heard
You
that.
know,
Yeah. What's
yeah,
going on over at
I
TikTok? There are
expect
people that are upset about their stuff not getting seen as
absolutely
much. I just don't understand the algorithm as much. I understand like
no
in
one.
YouTube terms because people complain about the same stuff on YouTube
Sure, yeah,
as well, but
yeah.
that is
And
kind of
people complain
crazy.
on Instagram as well. It's always going to happen. And anyone who says they understand the algorithm is either very popular, so they could literally film themselves, you know, eating an apple and get 1 million views, or they're lying. You
Yeah.
know, they don't know, and so yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating for sure. So, but yeah, it's still nice though. You know, it's nice to kind of like have that have that be something that I worked on, and you kind of see the results of all this hard work, and all of this interest that I had as a kid, and all of this collecting, you know, has led to something, and I think that's pretty dang cool. And
It is.
I enjoy the heck out of it
It's something that
for
20
sure.
years ago, we couldn't have done. I would have
No,
never imagined for 2 seconds when I was like 15. Of course, I would have loved to have talked about movies,
yeah,
but I didn't see this as any kind of possibility back then. So
no,
definitely,
no,
definitely cool stuff. All right, I want to get into just what type of collector you are for a second. I've got
mm,
a variety of questions to
nice.
ask you. Are you a day one purchaser, or do you usually wait for the sale on most stuff? And I feel like I know the answer to this because you already said you were a cheapskate. So
Yeah, I'm a cheapskate. I even in my steelbook, you know, Blu-ray Arrow video collecting world, I'm waiting for the discounts. I'm waiting for that person to take the digital code for themselves and then sell the physical media on Facebook Marketplace. I am waiting for the for
is that a
any
thing
way
that
I can get
happens a
it cheap.
lot? People just
Oh
buying
yeah.
it for the digital code?
Oh yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
basically
And
kind
wanting
of
to
make
get a
their
little
money
bit
back.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard of,
Yeah.
collectors getting the movie physically and then selling the code, but
Yeah.
I haven't heard of the reverse happening as much.
Yeah,
So
because
that's kind of
I'm the one
strange.
who's buying the physical media. Yeah, I in fact I have a video waiting in my drafts to post for that exact topic, basically saying, you know, how do you keep up with today's movies that are coming out, but you want to be cheap, you know, you want to be frugal, or and my advice was, yeah, go to Mercari, go to Facebook Marketplace. There are people who take that digital code and sell the movie for $10, $12. You know, I
It's
got
crazy.
a Clockwork Orange 4K still sealed, and I think it came out, I think it was like $11. You know, because I got 4 movies, so it kind of like evenly came out to $11 each. And that's it's yeah, you just never know. You never know what you're gonna find. And so yeah, there's definitely been a few movies that I have pre-ordered, but I could probably count those on 2 hands only. Like I'm very much I'm a cheapskate. Yeah.
Now, I seen you show off that beautiful Drive box sets that came out last
Yeah.
year from Second Sight. Is that something that you would definitely go for immediately? Because sometimes with those sets, like they're pretty limited, so you don't know
Yeah.
when they're going to be available again.
I definitely didn't pre-order that. I think I just got lucky. I think they may have announced it like on Instagram, and they had
Yeah,
extras or something, and I was like, I like this movie enough to just go ahead and get this. But yeah, no, but there's a lot that I don't have with those like special releases, and I see so many people with some incredible pieces in their collection, and I'm just like, man, missed it, and I'll never be able to get it, and you know, it's okay. But um yeah, I got lucky with that one.
yeah. Do you collect a lot? Are you primarily just collecting a lot of the mainstream releases, or do you do a lot of boutique buying? Like you talked about Arrow Video. Do you get into the Screen Factory stuff as well? Criterion, go
Yeah,
down those rabbit holes?
Criterion was my first boutique label that I collected before I even knew about anyone else. And it's mainly just because of Wes Anderson. I'm a massive Wes Anderson fan, and you know, all of his movies for the most part are on Criterion, and so
He's somebody I got to do a real deep dive into because I've
Yeah.
only seen Tenenbaums and
Okay.
Grand Budapest Hotel, so I have to check out
Nice.
a lot of his stuff.
Yeah, that's a huge split. There's a lot in
Yeah,
between there.
I've been wanting to watch Rushmore for the longest time. I just haven't got to it.
Man, Rushmore. I watched Rushmore when I was young, and so I always said Rushmore was like the movie made for me. And
Yeah.
if you watch it, you'll probably understand.
Yeah.
It's great. It's fantastic. But yeah, big Wes Anderson fan, and that's when I learned about Criterion and those special releases, because I love a lot of those movies. I love it. There's so many of those movies that I love, and then I am a massive Donnie Darko fan, and Richard Kelly's second film, Southland Tales,
Southland Tales
was released on Arrow, and I don't know how I saw it, but I saw an ad for that coming out, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta get this," because I love Southland Tales unashamedly, and
I still haven't
that's when
watched it.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
it's
I
so
watched
wacky.
Donnie Darko for the first time when it came out with that
Nice.
set. I had never seen it.
Oh, okay, yeah, but no, that's when everything started, and I've whenever someone, I'm sure, can put it in the comments, whenever that came out on Arrow is when I was introduced to Arrow. So
Okay.
very
So
recently, and then
2021, I think, is when that came out. Or was it 20?
yeah,
It might have been 2022. Might have been last year. I think in like March or April.
I'm gonna say
Well,
20.
hold on. We talking the Blu-ray? We talking the 4K? The
I'm
4K
pretty
came
sure the
out.
4K, like the special, like the really nice special, because it came with a
Yeah,
poster and things.
it might have been. I can't remember. I'm getting old.
I know there's just
That's
too
what
much.
happens. Getting old.
But
So which
yeah,
oh, go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
no, that's when like
You
Vinegar
discovered Arrow?
Syndrome and Severin and all of
Mm.
that stuff. Scream Factory. That's when it all just came.
Have you got anything
It,
from Vinegar Syndrome? What's your Vinegar
yeah,
Syndrome
I
pickup?
can't off the top of my head. I can't remember. So
Did
I
you get
will
that
say this
Roadhouse
too.
set?
No,
Oh,
I
it
didn't.
was
No.
beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful.
um, I will say this too. Another part of my story is I'm very new to horror. Um,
Oh,
I would say 4 or 5 years old of really getting into it and appreciating it. And so it's also because of that I'm starting to buy Scream Factories and Severins and Vinegar Syndromes and all the weird stuff. And I absolutely have been loving it and having a blast. And so
yeah,
yeah,
just think about all
there's
the
just
amazing movies you get to watch now for the first time.
for the first time. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I for last Halloween I watched Sleepaway Camp for the first time,
Oh God, I
and
love that movie. It's so wild.
mean, so it has been incredible. And then of course, Halloween I watched for the very first time, I think 2 Halloweens ago or 3 Halloweens ago, for the first time ever. And as you can see,
Nice.
like I've now invested in making it my personality. Like it blew me
Have you
away.
watched
And
the
so
entire franchise at this point?
not the entire franchise, no.
Okay.
I unfortunately I haven't even watched Halloween Ends, which I know is very divisive, and that kind of excites me. But
Did
no,
you like Kills?
I loved Kills. I thought
Okay.
it was a blast. And
Yeah.
it's wacky, this whole town. It's just fun. It just builds to this like we're gonna get them, and we do get them, but not for long, and then everyone just gets
Yeah.
killed, and it's fun. Um I just bought the Scream Factory box set, and so now I'm gonna kind of revisit, and then of course go throughout the franchise.
Did you get the I guess the box for Curse of Michael Myers, H2O, and Resurrection? Is that the box set you're
No,
talking about?
it's in my Amazon cart, and I keep watching the price slowly go down. Like I said, I'm a cheapskate, and so
Yeah.
it was over 100, and now I saw it recently for 84. I almost jumped on it, so I'm gonna
Have you
see. I'm
seen
gonna wait and
Halloween
see.
3 yet? Season of
I
the
have
Witch?
seen. I saw
Okay.
Halloween 3
I was gonna say, I just want to
last year
warn
for
you,
the first
Michael
time.
Myers is not in that one. Go into
Yeah.
it with an open mind.
No, for sure. No, and that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I fully understand why it bothers people back then. I totally
Yeah,
get it,
I'm an
and
I loved horror when I was like 10 or 11. Like I
mhm,
got into it very early on, and
yeah,
Halloween was definitely one of my favorites. And I watched
yeah.
Halloween 4 first, because my uncle gifted me that VHS tape. And then I had to watch the first 3. So I went to Walmart and they had like a triple pack VHS tape thing. So I watched 1 and 2 and loved them. Popped in 3. Where the hell is Michael Myers at? This is crap. And I never watched that movie again until like 5 years ago. And I love it. I love it now. But
he does show up on the TV in the background.
He does show up on the TV. Absolutely.
For like 1-2 seconds.
Absolutely. But no, I'd be interested in hearing about what you think about the rest of them, and then the Rob Zombie era of Halloween movies. And that's where I kind of bounced out. I hate Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Yeah.
Hate it with a passion.
But
yeah, no, man, that's really cool. I always, I'll get a lot of crap sometimes about not seeing this movie. Some people think that just because you have a movie channel or movie page, you should know everything about every movie. You should have seen everything that's ever existed. And if you haven't, why do you have a channel? You suck. But I always tell people, I was like, but it's so awesome that I get to watch all these movies for the first time. I have so many classics still. Like I've seen a lot in the past few years, just having the channel and the Instagram page and all that stuff, for the first time. There's still so much more I get to watch for the first time. And that excites me. Like that keeps me motivated and keeps me going. So yeah, really cool to get to, dive into a whole new genre of films for sure. You got a lot of good ones ahead of you.
It's been great. It's been so much fun. And now that I'm older, I can appreciate it more. And it probably doesn't scare me like it would have as a kid. But it doesn't really bother. Plus, I get scared easily, and that's kind of a part of the reason why I'm
well, interesting that you're such a fan of Shyamalan, but you only recently got into horror, because I'd say he definitely rides that horror line pretty well.
Yeah, no, you're correct.
In a lot of his movies.
Vividly remember pausing The Sixth Sense and like walking out to the living room and telling my
scary
dad,
parts
I don't think I can finish it. Yeah. And I finished it, but no, it's I was very, very, very selective with what I watched. Mainly, I got scarred as a kid. I accidentally watched the opening of Children of the Corn when I was very little.
Oh, that's the worst. Yeah. I don't think that's terrible. A very good horror movie overall, but the opening of Children of the Corn is frightening.
Insane.
It is frightening.
And then like a couple of the Chucky movies, like scenes from that, and then Are You Afraid of the Dark on Nickelodeon scarred me for life.
Great show.
But it has been a blast just watching all of this classic stuff.
Now you brought
Evil
the Chucky's.
Evil Dead 2.
Oh yeah, Evil Dead. Those are great. All those movies are great. You talk about like a perfect horror franchise. I hope they nail it with the 5th one, because all those movies. I love the remake too. So
it looks terrifying. So we'll see.
Now, have you dove into you talked about Chucky. Have you dove into the Child's Play movies yet?
I have revisited the first one and loved it.
The second one is my favorite horror sequel, hands down. Everything. Yeah. I love it. So good. The third one's good too. Remake was good. I like the remake.
The voice,
yeah, I like the remake.
Yeah, I had fun.
But no, that's cool. I recently dove into Westerns a couple of years ago. I'd never that was a huge blind spot for me. Never watched a Western. Always thought they were boring. My grandfather and uncles would watch stuff like that. Oh, yeah. And I watched so many great movies for the first time. Now I love Westerns. I just fell in love with them after that. So it is really cool to discover new genres. Steelbooks or slips? What gets you what gets you more fired up?
Yeah, right now it's Steelbooks. I love them. I love slips for sure. Even as a DVD collector, I think they're awesome. But I am obsessed with Steelbooks right now. Steelbook obsessed. If you know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've had him on the channel a few times. Yeah. He's been on a few of the roundtables. Jake, for sure.
Yeah, he's great.
Great.
Yeah. Just
he's
like
got a
the username, I'm obsessed. Yeah, he does. But no, I found someone on Instagram who, funny enough, replacing their entire Steelbook collection so that they can move into slips.
I think I remember the person you were talking about.
Probably. Yeah. And I have spent a pretty penny on getting a lot of them. I just got a package in the mail with nice. Arrival, and it's like a lenticular cover. It's gorgeous. So
nice. I need a nice Arrival Steelbook. I love that movie too.
Yeah,
I was out on Steelbooks for a little bit because I spent way too much money on them with the new Marvel movies and stuff that would come out. I was buying the Best Buy Steelbooks, the Target
Nice.
exclusives, and
Yeah.
trying to get all the collectible stuff. I've stopped doing
Sure.
that. But I don't know if you're familiar with the Lionsgate Steelbooks that come out with the slipcovers.
Oh yeah.
They made me fall back in love with Steelbooks, and they started doing cool
Yeah.
stuff like Dirty Dancing and La La Land and
They're killing it.
Cabin in the Woods, and just so many great
Cabin
Apocalypse
in the Woods
Now.
was
Just
so
great
good.
ones.
Yeah, they're about
American
to have
Psycho.
the Boy Who Fell from Earth, David Bowie. Have you seen
I've never
that
seen
thing?
Never
That
seen. I'm excited.
Steelbook looks.
It's nice.
Yeah, I actually have a somewhat viral video of. Oh man, I'm blanking on the name. Universal Soldier. Is that the one?
That was a nice one too.
But basically, all I did was I had the camera pointing down, and I just said like, "This is the nicest slipcover to a movie I've seen," and I kind of like slid it into place because the like pieces like cover the eye perfectly or whatever, and it blew up. And I've been doing that pretty much anytime I can get a Lionsgate one because it's
this one that just came out of Warm
easy.
Bodies was really cool too.
I didn't get that one. Yeah,
really
that looks
awesome.
really good. Yeah. That looks great.
Try to grab every single one of them. But yeah, they definitely got me back. And I feel like everybody's trying to take a page out of Lionsgate's book now, and they're trying to do the same kind of stuff. Like Paramount's done a few of them as well. But yeah, other people have definitely upped their Steelbook game.
Yeah, sure. They should be, because that's that type of media, which is so new to me. It's awesome. I love it. I'm obsessed with it.
For sure. Do you do a lot of blind buying, or most of the movies that you get, that you like?
Yeah,
before you
I do a lot of blind buying, especially like when I was growing the DVD collection. My collection has grown thanks to the closing of many rental stores. And I would like half of it would be things, maybe I saw as a kid. Like that's how I got a couple of the Three Ninja movies.
I wish I had those, damn it.
Yeah, those are great. But a lot of blind buys for sure. And it's nice because I know exactly what I'm interested in, and typically I tend to be right when I pick it.
Yeah.
Now, recently with horror, it's
uncharted territory.
Yeah. So I'm just like, this looks fun, so I'm going to pick it up and we'll see. But back when I was like college, just out of college, really growing the collection, a lot of blind buys and a lot of great discoveries because of that, for sure.
Yeah. Sidekicks we absolutely need on Blu-ray for sure. I'm hoping that maybe Vinegar Syndrome, or not Sidekicks. That they did just do Sidekicks. Three Ninjas. That's what I was saying. Three Ninjas needs a Blu-ray, 100%. Yeah. But Vinegar Syndrome just did a 4K of Sidekicks. Have you ever seen that movie?
No, I'm gonna.
With Jonathan Brandis and Chuck Norris, and it's like a Karate Kid type ripoff. But it's great. I grew up with that movie along with Surf Ninja, Three Ninjas, all those movies.
Sure.
So when they released that, it kind of gave me hope that Vinegar Syndrome might just do a 4K of Three Ninjas at some point, because they're doing movies like that, and that would be incredible.
No, I have. Oh, that looks great.
You got to watch it. It is what they call a VSU. It's a VSU edition. I don't know if they still got I think they still got some in stock, but you probably have to get on the Vinegar Syndrome website. And it's a huge like box set. It opens up. It's a magnetic case, and it has a slipcover inside of it. It has a big booklet inside of it. It's a great piece.
It's funny. I Googled it and I'm looking at the images and I see your thumbnail, your YouTube thumbnail. You're the only person talking about Sidekicks.
I love it, man. I live for that movie. Like that's just one of those movies. That's what I love about collecting too. When they release something that's just like, I remember that movie when I was a kid.
Yes.
And they do like some kind of really cool edition. I eat it up.
I'm gonna check that out. That looks great. Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Jonathan Brandis, Chuck Norris. You got Winnie Cooper from the Wonder Years is in the movie too. It's got a killer cast. Killer cast.
Oh, that's great.
But have you ever seen Surf Ninjas? You were talking about Three Ninjas.
Yep, I have it. I have it on DVD.
I'll just kill for 4Ks of those movies.
What's his name? He's from SNL. He's
Rob Schneider.
Yeah, Rob Schneider. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the
Yep.
movie that had the Game Gear in it. I used to have a Game Gear when I was a kid,
Oh
so I always
yeah,
like
sure.
tried to mimic that movie.
Yes.
Great movie. All right, let's get into your thrifting. I know you do a lot of thrifting. I was getting the question is,
Oh,
do you do a lot of thrifting,
mhm.
shop buying, or do you buy a lot of stuff new? I imagine you're way more into the thrifting than buying stuff full price, which is definitely smart.
Absolutely. Yeah,
What are a lot of the does thrifting, I guess, make up most of your physical media purchases?
absolutely. Now, back in the DVD world, I would say like, and I don't know for sure, but I would say 90% of my collection was used and found in resale. And like I said, rental stores that were closing, I would buy. I went to school out in LA, and even while I was out there, I bought like 50 movies while I had to fly all that home because of a Hollywood video closing. And
Yeah.
and uh, it has changed a little bit because now I'm definitely focused a little bit more on Blu-ray and Steelbooks, and but yeah, I would go to like a half price books and just scan everything. I never had a list of movies I needed, and I did at one point, and what I found is I was wasting my time. Like, okay, I'm looking for this movie, now I have to find it, and like, if they were in alphabetical order by genre or whatever.
Yeah.
I would just waste my time. So instead, I just would look at everything, and I did a really great job of remembering what I had, and and then yeah, if it was something that I was interested in, um, just based on the spine, right? I would be like, oh, I haven't heard of this. I'd look at it, look who's in it, who directed it, and yeah, probably it would be a blind buy to pick up. But there has been a lot of times where I have found movies that I've always wanted or always wanted to see, or I heard about 5 years ago, and there it is. And that's the best. It's the best feeling finding, a grail, something that you have been looking for. Um, oh, it's just so much fun.
Yeah, I used to do it all the time. I still go to half price books, from time to time. I feel like the prices though at half price books have definitely gone up in the past couple of years.
Yeah,
It's gotten pretty bad. The I guess what you would call the clearance section is
yeah,
still pretty affordably priced, but
yeah.
the regular section I'll pick stuff out and it'll say 14.99, and
Yeah.
I'm like the case looks like crap and I'm like I'm not
Yeah.
paying 14.99 for
That's a
this.
brand new price. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you got? They're charging like more than Amazon does for
Yeah.
brand new titles on some of their
Yeah.
4K stuff. But
Yes,
if you hit
exactly.
one of those 50% off weekends that they do, you can definitely get a lot of good stuff. I've gotten some Criterions for very
Yeah.
cheap there before.
Yeah. I bought on the last one they did that I was able to go to was right like the week after Multiverse of Madness came out. And so
Yeah,
and I got it on 4K, and it was I think $10 because it's probably like a $20 used, at half price. And so
yeah,
yeah, that was a good purchase.
yeah. Most I work weekends, so it's always very hard for me to go to those. I try to make time to go do it though when they have those
Sure.
sales. But I
Yeah,
used to
yeah,
do
yeah.
a lot of Goodwill trips and stuff like that. But
Yep.
like I was telling you before we went, to record this, it just feels like slim pickings out there lately,
Mhm.
as far as like the Goodwills and the pawn shops. Are you finding that same thing, or you have a
Yeah.
finding pretty good stock out there still?
No, like I said, now that I'm kind of focused more on Blu-ray,
It
I
might be
just
slim
kind of
pickings for me because you've done
yeah,
went around and got everything.
got them
That
all.
could be the
Yeah.
case.
No, I really have kind of pulled back on the Goodwills, just knowing that yeah, it's you rarely find that stuff. And so instead, I'll focus on Facebook Marketplace. And yeah, that's not going out and
Yeah,
finding and searching, but typically, you'll see people getting rid of course, their DVD collections, but people are now getting rid of their Blu-ray collections, and I've gotten very lucky with that as well. And so, no, for sure. Like I would say, even a year ago, I would definitely hit up the Goodwills quite a bit. But that's when I was like still DVD focused. And now if I'm looking at the DVDs, I'm pretty much just focused on horror and anything that's old, like those Something Weird DVDs, or those Elvira Presents DVDs, or the stuff that it's really hard to find for cheap on
Yeah.
Blu-ray, through a boutique label that you could probably find for $1 on DVD. Like that's kind of like what I'm craving right now, and so I'll definitely look for that. But I'm not looking for an Adam Sandler movie on DVD right now. It's just
Yeah,
yeah,
everything's
I'm
so common, it feels like there. But every now and then you'll
yeah,
find some that's just so like, what the hell is this? It might be something you've never heard
yeah,
of before, and it's like, I'm
yeah,
gonna pick this up, and then you find out it doesn't have a Blu-ray
yeah.
or anything. So
Yeah, Stay Tuned is a good example. I don't know if it has a Blu-ray. I actually haven't looked, but I do know that that DVD is pretty pricey. And it was one of those. I found Stay Tuned in the wild, watched it, loved it. It is so much fun, and looked it up, and
who's in that
it's
one? The
pretty
title sounds
pricey.
familiar, but I can't think of it off
Gosh,
the top of my
who's in
head.
it? Oh
Is that from the
who?
80s, from the
Just
90s?
look it up. I think it's I think it's 80s, but it's a 1992. Yeah, I'm looking at him. What's his name? Oh my gosh. It is it's kind of a spoof on it's kind of similar to UHF, Weird Al's UHF, where
Yeah.
they spoof like different TV shows. It's wonderful. John Ritter
Oh, I love
is the
John
main
Ritter.
guy in that. And I had never heard of it, never seen it, and I found it, and it's right up my alley. It's if you like Airplane, if you like those kind of older spoof films, Stay tuned. And you like movies, and you kind of understand pop culture, anything that like might references. Stay Tuned is great.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out for sure. Let's see. This question we already got into, but you buy primarily 4K Blu-ray now, and not really as much DVD. How much does the format really matter to you as far as sitting down and watching the movie itself? Do you prefer to watch stuff in 4K or Blu-ray?
No,
Are
I don't.
you just as happy watching a DVD?
Yeah, I
You
don't
still
care.
do that?
Don't care. I didn't even have a 4K player until I was sent one by Sony. I
Yeah,
got very lucky, and Sony sent me one, and and even then, it just kind of sat there. Like I didn't plug it in because I was using my PlayStation 4, which was my DVD player,
yeah.
and my Blu-ray player. I didn't care, and I
Does the
still
PS4
don't
play
care.
DVDs?
They play,
It
DVDs and
does.
Blu-rays. PS4 was,
Nice.
like, the cheaper Blu-ray player to get when Blu-ray players first came out.
That's how I played everything too until I started getting 4Ks was
Yeah,
on my PS2, PS3,
yeah.
PS4, Xbox,
Plan for me
whatever.
was to upgrade to the PS5 and still not get a 4K player, but the PS5 plays 4K.
Yeah.
So I had no plan on getting a 4K player, but I was being sent 4K movies, and, um yeah, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. Like I said, I'm being a filmmaker, right? I'm more story focused. Um, uh, s- it's like Blair Witch does not need a 4K release, right? If anything, it should be watched on VHS. That's kind of like the mood.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't need to see Adam Sandler's latest comedy in 4K. I don't need to upgrade my DVD of Dumb and Dumber.
I
Except
will say
if
Adam Sandler's Uncut Gems looks good in 4K.
and you know what? I have it. I bought it. And
The
yeah,
Criterion. Yeah.
yeah, the Criterion, yeah. So no, I'm strictly buying for I would say for the most part for uh like what does the physical media look like? What does the piece look like?
Yeah.
And there's multiple times where like I'll have something come in the mail and I'm like, oh, it's the 4K. Like I didn't get it because it was the 4K. I just, oh, nice surprise, it's the 4K.
It's interesting. Yeah,
No,
everybody has their
yeah,
different,
oh, for sure.
perspective on
Oh, and
collecting and stuff
I
for
know there's
sure.
people who are like I'm gonna see like what the transfer looks like and things like that. And I'm just like, man, more power to you,
Well, right
because
now
I
there's a big, and this episode's going to come out in a couple of weeks, so it'll probably die down by then. But there's a
sure.
big hubbub over this whole Rocky 4K situation. Everybody's
Okay.
pointing out all these little, to me, minuscule flaws that don't
Yeah.
really affect my viewing experience all that much.
Yeah.
It's more so the people that have seen these movies like hundreds of
For
times and
sure.
just know where
Yeah.
every single sound cue and
Yeah.
little
That's
small
funny.
detail is in the film.
That's
And so
great.
the audio wasn't correct on Rocky 2, or there was like certain like pitch variations at certain points in the movie.
I love it.
I just watched all 4 of them and I thought everything sounded great and I thought they all
Yeah.
looked great.
Yeah.
But that's just from my, perspective. There's some
Yeah.
people that sit there and they test this stuff and they go through everything
I love it.
and they compare it,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
respect
That's
that. I
great.
really do.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
I enjoyed them all. Um,
No, and like half the stuff I'm watching on streaming, my internet is like, it's not giving me 4K, it's not giving me
no.
HDR like it says up in the top corner. I know it's not. And when I was in college,
Not where we
I'll
live,
admit
man.
this. Oh yeah, I know. In college, I'll admit, like, I illegally watched stuff because I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
All my college friends, we found the stuff, and you're watching 480. You're watching the movie 300 and 480, 480p, uh, and yeah, no, I just don't care. Now I can definitely see the difference, right? That's pretty obvious, but because I haven't watched a ton of 4K, DVD and Blu-ray still look great to me. And of course,
Good.
there's definitely stuff that's dated, for sure.
Yeah.
No, in the end, it needs to be a good movie, and I'm going to buy it, and
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
I mean, the way I look at it is people were spending probably more on VHS tapes back in the day than they are
Oh
like some
yeah,
of these 4K releases that are coming out. And
yeah,
everybody complains about, to me, like there are some big issues here and there, but everybody complains about the smallest little
sure,
things. And I'm like, this movie looks far and away better than the DVD or VHS tape
yeah,
that you paid
no, for
probably
sure,
twice as much for
yeah,
back in the day. So what are you really complaining about now? It
yeah,
just seems a little silly to me at this
no,
point.
for sure, yeah,
Okay, we're getting into a couple more questions, then I'm gonna let you out of here, man.
cool,
Why is physical media important to you owning movies physically? What drives you
yeah.
to continue to collect in this age of streaming that we're all in?
It's, I see a lot of this conversation, especially on TikTok, and you get the excuses, not excuses, but you get the, some movies can't be found on streaming, and like I mentioned, Sleepy Hollow just disappearing the next day. And I think all of that is very important. But my thing that I really miss about rental stores, and why I like to collect, is I like to be reminded of movies. I like to be reminded of the things that exist.
Yeah.
And there has been so much great content that I've seen on streaming that I have forgotten because I will never watch it again. And my biggest thing that is very easy to think about is yearly I watch Christmas movies. I have a Christmas collection, a holiday collection, and there are so many great streaming Christmas movies that I
Christmas
think deserve.
Chronicles.
Christmas
Yeah.
Chronicles 1 and
Both of
2.
them.
Chris Columbus directed the second one.
Those are classics that I would watch like
Klaus,
years to
Klaus,
come. Yeah.
Klaus, however you want to say it. I think that's an animated movie. Fantastic.
I
8-Bit
think I remember that
Christmas
one.
on HBO Max
I didn't get to
was a
see that one.
blast.
Yeah, didn't
Oh,
get to see that
if you
one.
like, dang
The
it,
premise sounded really, really cool. I
Turbo
need to
Man.
watch that one.
If you like
Yeah.
Turbo Man, this is like the spiritual sequel.
Or more recently, a Christmas Story Christmas.
I missed it, but
That was a great sequel to the
exactly.
first
Like,
one.
why
It
would
really
that
was
not be
better
out?
than it had any right to be. And yeah, it's
Sure,
not
yeah,
out
that's great.
physically yet.
So and that's what I loved about rental stores is you get to walk that every wall covered in movies and be like, oh, that came out, or oh my gosh, I forgot about that. and then you get to watch it. So there's a lot that is missed, and there's a lot of movies that come out and then are just forgotten. Like, when's the last Netflix blockbuster? Red Notice, maybe?
Yeah.
One of the Ryan Reynolds ones? I don't know. I didn't see it.
And then Glass Onion that just came out, which is a sequel
Glass
to
Onion is going to
a
be
theatrically
so
released
forgotten.
film that's
Yeah,
on physical media. And where's Glass Onion's 4K? You know.
yeah. Very frustrating. I'm glad I saw that in theaters. I at least had that experience. But because it came out for like a week or two. But
Yeah.
no, it's insanely frustrating. And oh, being a Star Wars fan, like all Disney Plus Star Wars originals aren't getting physical releases. And um so, when I show my daughter Star Wars, which, she loves Grogu, even though she's never seen an episode. Um, but whenever we watch it, it's not going to be super special, taking the holy Blu-ray copy off the shelf and placing it in the player for the first time, watching anything outside of the sequels and prequels and originals. And yeah, it bums me out, for sure. So yeah,
Now,
just being surrounded by the art every day is just really special to me.
now you do have a daughter. From the pictures I see on your social media, she's still pretty little. Does she show any kind of interest in physical media at all, or does she think
Oh
it's
yeah.
cool that you have all these movies
Oh yeah,
available in your
absolutely.
collection?
And that's totally my fault, right? Like, I've raised her on it.
Yeah.
Um, um, oh yeah, no, she loves going to Half Price with me, and like, we just picked up a bunch of Scooby Doo's from Half Price. Um, and even though half of them are on HBO Max, like, yeah, we're gonna go buy them. This is really funny. Her whole life, I had the PS4, and that was the player, and so her whole entire life was to place the disc in the slot, and then it kind of just like eats it, right?
Yeah.
And then I got the player, and when I
And it
pressed the
comes
eject
out,
button, she was like, "How'd you do that?"
blows her mind.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's right. You don't know how this works." And that was awesome. And then I took a picture the other day of her doing it all by herself, taking the disc out, placing it, pressing the button, because I taught her not to push
Nice.
the thing. That is super special to me.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I don't know what's going to happen when she gets older, if she's going to carry on the legacy or what, but she'll definitely be raised that physical media matters, comics, books, all of it. It's definitely going to be a part of her life, whether
Yeah.
she chooses to continue it or not,
Embrace it.
which is fine.
That definitely is what worries me about, kids today. Because my daughter's 8 and my son's going to be 13 this year. They think it's cool that I have all this stuff down here, but they're playing Fortnite and Roblox and streaming
Yeah,
Netflix and YouTube, and it's hard to get them to, like, they're not putting physical discs in anything, and
sure.
it is, kind of disheartening when you look at that and you're like, damn it. I feel like this stuff's
Yeah,
like nobody's going to care about it. Everybody's going to view things as so disposable in the future and this kind of physical. Because even when you get into like the games now, they're getting you to
yeah,
buy all this stuff that's not real in
yeah.
the games, like
Right. Yeah.
skins and
Right.
weapons and
Yeah.
things like that. So everything in their mind is just so disposable. Like these are stuff that we would have spent our money on toys when we were that age, and we
Yeah.
would still have those. Like, or at
Yeah.
least
Yeah.
I still have like Ninja Turtles in my
Yeah.
closet over there. You
Yeah.
can't take those digital things with you through life. So
Yeah.
I definitely worry about that for them
No, absolutely. I
as they
totally
get
get that.
older.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. What's your this will be my final question for you. What's your thoughts on the state of physical media today? Is it healthy, and is it ending anytime soon?
It's hard to tell the truth living in the bubble that I live in.
Yeah.
But from where I'm standing, it's growing. Yeah, like, I feel like it's just getting better than ever. Granted, Target has slimmed down significantly. Best Buy, the best, as you know, the
It's
Best
moving to
Buy,
the online market more.
yeah, doesn't even have movies. We have to go to another state, you and I, to the other Best Buy to get movies in store. So it's tough to say, right? I feel like it's growing. I feel like I constantly am seeing the comment of, I just started collecting movies because of you. And I keep seeing Lionsgate putting out incredible steelbooks, and I keep seeing all of these boutique labels that are constantly putting out something.
It's crazy. There's like, it feels like 50 to 60 new releases every week. Like
Yeah, right. And
it's
it's
tons
physical.
of stuff to keep up with.
And so, excuse me. And so, people keep saying this will be dead in 20 years. And I'm like, that's what they said about DVD. That's what they
Yeah.
said about VHS. That's what they said about vinyl.
And DVD still makes up 60% of the market. You got to remember that.
There's a reason why DVDs are still in stores today. And so I don't see it going anywhere. If anything, I think it's going to have a resurgence. I think we're going to have more mom and pop rental stores that are, being started by people my age, that miss it. And I totally see it. I totally see it coming back. I see kind of the streaming, just people being done with everything coming and going and disappearing.
You feel that with people, like you feel the anger in the movie community nowadays with stuff like they don't know where to find anything. It's like this movie's on this streaming service, this is on this, and then the next day it's not, and then they're just like HBO's just ripping their own shows off their streaming platforms, like Westworld, shows that they produced and said these are HBO shows that are always going to be here. The next day they're gone forever. I mean, there's a physical copy of Westworld, but some of the stuff they've taken off there's no physical copy for. So that stuff just gets lost in existence, which I didn't necessarily want to watch the movie American Pickle again after I watched it on HBO Max with Seth Rogen, but it's a movie that should have, a home somewhere. I mean, it was
I have all his other movies. I might as well be a completionist. Exactly. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous that these big, huge, massive movies with huge casts you hear about a week before it comes out. It comes out, you're a parent, so you can't watch it day one. You got to wait a little bit. You get a little bit behind, and then you're like, well, I forget what that movie was, so I'm never going to see it again.
Yeah,
that's wild. That's frustrating. And so, there's a lot of movies that I haven't seen. I'm going to watch them eventually. They're not going to disappear. I'm going to have that time, right? My kid's going to be old enough. Then the time comes to where, like, all right, now I get to catch up over here. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the TV I need to catch up on too, but now I have the time. And
well, getting into that a little bit without you said it, what percentage of your collection do you think is unwatched?
I'd say maybe 25%.
That's pretty good. That's
not
really good.
I'm
probably sitting at about 50%.
Yeah. I watched more. A lot of movies in college, right? I couldn't do it. I mean, I almost failed college because I was just watching movies all the time. And so a lot of my collection is definitely what I watched. But I would say 25-30% is very safe to say for sure.
And do you see yourself getting to all those at some point? Are you confident that you will watch every one of them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why it was so hard for me to scale my collection down, is because a lot of them are movies I haven't seen that I know.
You just looked at and said, I'm not watching this.
I know I want to watch it. I need to keep it because eventually I'm going to get to it. Yeah.
Did you give any away though, that you thought to yourself, I'm never going to watch this movie? I just don't have any interest in it. Was there any of those that you gave away, or were they all movies you already saw?
I'm pretty sure they were all movies that I had already seen and kind of made up my mind of like, you know, so there was definitely some that I had in my collection because I thought I needed to have it, but I didn't really like it, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, and,
Because
no, yeah.
I was giving away a few of my Dollar Tree movies that I know for a fact
Mhm.
I'm never gonna watch. Real quick though, before we get out, were you in the Dollar Tree craze when it was real popular? They were putting out Blu-rays and stuff. Did you go to the Dollar Tree a lot? Get a lot of
So, speaking of, Steelbook obsessed, you know, he would always go and he like, he had a connection to where he was able to put the movies out for the workers or something like that at some point, and
really?
I was so like, "That's awesome." I hit up 4 Dollar Trees, nothing, garbage. So no, I was so mad that I was not getting. I mean, I found like a couple of cool things, but nothing great,
Nothing
you
that you see
know?
everybody else pick up. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
was making a lot of content off those Dollar Tree trips that I was taking, and I was just buying movies that I 100% knew
yeah.
I'm not watching these. Just trash, bottom of the
Like s
barrel horror
like
films that should
Sushi
be
Girl, like movies from Magnet. No offense to Magnet,
Sushi
but
Girl.
like, yeah, yeah, like that's what
Sushi
he would
Girl's at
keep
every
saying.
single Dollar Tree near you on
Oh, yeah,
Blu-ray. It's their highest
absolutely.
seller.
Yeah,
Uh, but Brian, man, I appreciate you coming on here tonight for World's Biggest Collectors episode 50. Before we get out of here, I want you to, promote yourself and your
sure.
TikTok page and all your
Yeah,
stuff real quick and let everybody know what you're all about over at Bstarrcinema. The floor is yours,
sure.
sir.
Yeah, well, again, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been a blast talking with a bunch of people, because yeah, I don't get to do this. I don't get to do this often. I was always the person, you know, with the movie collection. Like people would come and I get to show off my movie collection. I never get to see others, and so being able to talk like this is great. And yeah, it's all thanks to social media. Even though it's the worst, I love it. I'm addicted to it. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
B-Star Cinema across the board, really just focused on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I'm definitely trying to get more consistent on YouTube. But yeah, anything, if you like movies, especially Instagram, I will say I'm going to put the plug on Instagram. Every day, I try to in my stories. I talk briefly about the movies that I've been watching, so you can kind of keep
You
up
do
with
a
what
good job of keeping up with that stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. But absolutely, man,
Yeah,
we're always talking movies over here on YouTube. We do a lot of roundtable discussions and stuff like that. So I would love for you
yeah.
to be a
Oh,
part of
yeah.
one of those at some point for sure.
I would love
A lot
that.
of lot of lot
Yeah,
of cool collectors here on the YouTube space and the TikTok space as well. But I'm just now dipping my toes into all
sure.
that. It's so strange when you go to different platforms. You're like, there's different people over here and right here. And it's cool to
Yeah.
discover everybody though. It really
It's
is.
what I'm experiencing on Instagram. I'll click on someone's name and they got like 30K followers. I'm like, no offense, I've never heard of you. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, so there's a ton of people, and it's great. It's I'm really happy that we can have our spaces talking about the same exact thing, if that makes sense. Like we can have
Yeah.
our audiences and share the wealth, if you will. So yeah,
It is a really cool thing. But I definitely recommend everybody that's watching this now go follow Brian over on TikTok and Instagram and subscribe to his YouTube channel. I will link all those down below in the description. And thank y'all so much for watching. Like the video, definitely like the video. That always helps. And leave us a comment. Let us know how you enjoyed the episode as well here today. And we'll see you guys later.